What up, y'all? It's the Real Ball Watcher. Grab your binoculars, and I'm back with another video. Ladd McConkey. Let's get into it. That boy's a proper lad, if I say so myself. Sorry if the light is kind of crazy. I'm recording at night because I had a whole bunch of stuff to do. You know how it is, college finals week. A whole bunch of stuff to do anyways. Proper lad, Ladd McConkey. 6 foot, 185. I don't know if he's actually 185. He kind of looked beefier than that. Pause. 22-year-old. He's a junior at Georgia. You know the vibes. 2021 stat his first year starting 15 games, 31 catches, 447 yards, 5 tutties. 2022 stats next year, back-to-back chips, by the way. Another 15 games. That's why he got 15 games, back-to-back chips. 58 catches, 762 yards, and 7 tutties. 7 of them tugs. This year, 7 games. He missed a couple games with, I want to say he had a ankle sprain, and he came off of surgery in the offseason. So he's missed a lot of games. He only played 7 games so far. 29 catches, 456 yards, and 2 tugs. So I'm not sure what to make of those stats. So we'll get into it later on in the video. Let's move to the next part. Everybody's favorite part, man. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of this thing. First strength for that boy Ladd, the proper Ladd. He's great in space. When it comes to contact balance, jukes, cuts, things like that. It's like when you get the ball in his hands, he's turned into almost like a tight end / running back because he's not this super uber athletic guy, but he's athletic enough. He has this next great point, sneaky speed that he can outrun you. He can stop on a dime, hit you with a good cut. He bounce off guys. He runs over guys. He break arm tackles. He's a weirdly good after catch threat. When you look at him, you don't expect that to be his game, but that's definitely what he is, and that's one of his best assets, honestly. Like I said before, sneaky speed. When you look at him and you watch him, you don't think he's this crazy burner, but he has enough speed to threaten deep and threaten guys to where he can come back in routes or he can cut routes off quickly. He can threaten you and get you to turn your hips or just beat you over the top if he has to with a little bit of sneaky speed. His best asset, honestly, or maybe his second best, is tied. Let's say 1A, 1B. Great footwork. I mean, this guy, like I said earlier, with his jukes and his cuts, the way his feet move, he has quick, choppy feet. Boom, boom, boom. Get in there, stops on a dime. He can cut off of that foot. Everything that he does with his footwork is really, really nice. From route running, which is his next point, route running, yards after catching things, even blocking. He has good base, strong base. He's a good blocker, honestly. The next point, like I said before, great route runner. And this might be the best route runner in the class, honestly, because he does everything you want to see as a route runner. If you're looking at a route runner receiver, you want to see them use their hands to beat press or use their hands to separate within the route, little pushes off, things like that. You want to see them use their feet quickly, quick, choppy feet, getting up to speed in a hurry, cutting off quick, things like that. You want to see them with use different release packages, have a deep release package bag so they can win in press or in off coverage. And kind of square up the defender and make them guess where they're going. He has all of that. And I could see him using the rule of thirds, which Cooper Kupp used. I want to say it's called the rule of thirds. The rule of thirds to really win big at the next level because all his routes just look the same. And that's the hardest thing to guard as a DB or a defender when the route, every single route just looks the exact same. You don't know what he's going to do. That's his best asset probably, and he's probably the best route runner in the class. I will say, like I said, he has some sneaky speed, but he can separate with speed down the middle. Down the seam, kind of in the slot, he can beat those safeties and linebackers if he has to over top with just straight out speed. So he can be a deep threat from certain areas of the field just off speed alone. And another good point is he just plays all over the field. I mean, he's lined up on the outside. He's lined up in the slot. He's lined up in like kind of a wide tight end, flexed out. Behind the line of scrimmage. I mean, I want to say he lined up in line before at this point because he just played any receiver spot that you need him to, and he's been effective at it. He also went one of the best parts of his route running, which I've kind of should have mentioned more with other guys, is he plays into the leverage of DB. Since he's not this super crazy burner, if you're leaning one way or your blind side is one way, he's going to get into that blind side and get out of there so he can kind of twist you around, make you turn around, and he can get a lot of separation that way. And he's just a really crafty, almost veteran route runner. Like, it looks like he's been doing this. He's a pro. He's a professional route runner. Like, when you look at the top of the top, he is a professional route runner. And honestly, that's going to be an insane asset. I think that's a great asset to have as a receiver. And he has a good, solid pair of hands. I don't have it up here, but he has some pretty good hands. I didn't really see too many drops, too many kind of iffy catches. He has really strong hands. But yeah, I mean, he's just like a pro receiver, like a quintessential A. When you see a good receiver, he's that. He's just really good at the technical things about receivers that make receivers good. But let's go ahead and get to the stuff that's not really his game, because it's not too much stuff that isn't really good to like about McConkey, and it's stuff that he can't really control, if I can get that to you. But let's go ahead and get to the things that's really not his game. Stuff that's not really his game. He's not very twitched up. When you're talking about twitchiness, it's kind of the quick, sudden movement. Like somebody could run straight fast, somebody can run to the side fast, but to be able to kind of snap off of that kind of joystick type of movement, he's not twitched up at all. He's not twitched up in his routes. He's not twitched up after the catch. He just lacks that form of athleticism, and that could hurt him at the next level, because it's kind of those builds on 2K where it's all 80s. It's like, all right, that build is going to be ass. Because, like, okay, you're good at everything, but you're not great at anything, even though I think he's a great route runner. But when it comes to his athleticism, it's just adequate all across the board. And it's like, or even above average across the board, good across the board. But it's nothing great or elite about his athleticism that'll make him stand out in a game that you kind of have to be, what should I say, kind of hit the genetic lottery and be physically blessed to succeed most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time. Also, the next thing I question is contested catch ability. I think he does have sure hands, and I think he will pull in most catches that's in his catch radius. But like I said, he doesn't have a large catch radius, I don't think, because he isn't some super high jumper or some super twitched up guy who can kind of body control in air and things like that. And I didn't see too many contested catch opportunities on the tape, and when it did, he's kind of like catching it with his body or catching it all away from the defender and pulling it in with his body. Not nothing that's like a, man, if it's 50-50, it turns into 60-40, 65-35 type thing. So that's just the question I have. Also, is he a good enough athlete to play on the outside? I talked about him not being super twitchy and just being good athletically everywhere else. That will hurt you playing on the outside against super athletic corners. Your technique only gets you so far. If somebody else is also great technique, perfect technique lined up with you, their athleticism is going to outweigh yours, and they're probably going to win that rep. So I kind of question, will he be able to survive on the outside most of the time, or will he be a slot guy who can sometimes flex out because of his lack of athleticism? Also, his production, he's kind of a, what can I say? He's kind of that fan favorite role player that looks like a star when you look at his production. When you look at his production, he's this guy that's really likable by the fans. He comes in, make a good 2, 3, 4 plays, but he's not this dominant force that just enforces his will on the game. He's your number one target. He's your guy in the offense. He's not that when you look at his production or when you watch the film either. But they did have Brock Bowers. It is a really run-heavy team. It is A.D. Mitchell was on the team at the time. So they had other mouths to feed. But I would like to see kind of that insertion of dominance if you're going to be a wide receiver 1 or even a high-end number 2. But he kind of just looks like this is the fan favorite role player. Like, this is the guy that everybody rocks with. He's going to come in. Hey, we know he's going to make a big play if we need him to in the clutch or on third down, things like that. Kind of like what was it, Jarius Wright that we had, Mr. Third Down, one of those guys, or Demir Bird, something like that. And like I said, no elite physical traits. Like, there is nothing physically that he does at an elite level. Maybe the combine will disprove that. Maybe I'm just lying. But when I'm looking at the film, nothing crazy sticks out physically. But as far as, like, skill towards the game, I don't really have anything negative to say outside of maybe his contested catch ability. That's a question. But when it comes to route running, his hands, where he can line up, his feet, using his hands throughout the route, he is to the T what you want to see from a receiver. So I just find that super, super interesting. And his only question really is he athletic enough to survive in the certain positions and in the league in general. But let's go ahead and get into his player build. Now let's go ahead and get into the player build for the proper lad. So today we have built, kind of boring. Sorry if I'm shaking the camera. Kind of boring, but a jack of all trades. He's just a jack of all trades, man. He just can do anything on the field. If you need him to play outside, all right, coach, I'll go play outside. If you need him to go into the slot, all right, coach, I can play in the slot. Need him to line up at fullback, all right, coach, I'll go block. come sub in at quarterback. All our quarterbacks went down. All right, coach, I know the plays. I know the progressions. Hey, come. Matter of fact, OC sick this week. Call plays. All right. I already looked at the film. I kind of game plan on my own. He just seems like that guy that's like, whatever you need me to do is yes, coach. Yes, coach. Yes, coach. I'm gonna just do that. But like I said, he's really good. I mean, he played all over the field. He's good at everything. Like I said, he's just not elite at one specific thing athletically or outside of route running, receiver wise. He's just not elite at one good thing or one thing. But yeah, he's just a jack of all trades. And the comparisons, I have Cooper Kupp on here, wide receiver. I know, ooh, that's a boring comparison. But when you look at the guys, they're kind of like not this super athletically gifted guys that don't really, might not survive on the outside. I won't say that about Ladd yet, but Cooper Kupp can't really survive on the outside because of his lack of athleticism. But they're just really, really, really elite route runners, and they're good at everything else. They're good after the catch. They have adequate enough speed, but they're really, really good route technicians. And like I said, if Ladd can learn that rule of thirds, look up what the rule of thirds is that Cooper Kupp discussed. If he can learn that and apply that to every route that he runs, which he already runs them all the same, he could maybe get to that ceiling if he's in the correct system and played in the right spot. The next one I have is Jarvis Landry. Jarvis Landry was a slot receiver that was great after the catch and had some decent feet with some great cuts and some nice route running. Don't that sound like a guy I just talked about for the last however many minutes? I don't know how long this video is. That's basically what Ladd is, Ladd McConkey. The proper Ladd. He reminds me a lot of Jarvis Landry. That's the first thing that popped out on tape for me. He's, like I said, he's really good after the catch. It's just sneaky. You just don't expect that. Kind of like Jarvis Landry. It was unexpected until he did it and showed everybody what he could do. And then the last thing I have for him is Ben Skoranek. Ben Skoranek lines up everywhere. He's kind of like this flex, fullback, tight end, slot receiver for the Rams who has some decent hands, okay route running, and is pretty good after the catch with his contact balance. I could see at worst case scenario that could be Ladd. That's kind of the only reason that I put him there. It's not because he's white. I promise I didn't put Cooper Kupp and Ben Skoranek there because he's white. Hand on the Bible. But yeah, that's kind of what I got for that boy Ladd, the proper Ladd. Jack of all trades. I think he's a good receiver. I think you take him third round, early third round, maybe late second, because like I said, he can't play. I don't know if he'll be able to survive on the outside with his lack of athletic traits. And if you're drafting just specifically a slot receiver that's not necessarily a burner or some very twitched up athlete in the slot, he's just a route technician. Those are guys that you don't really want to, they don't have that high of a ceiling. And you kind of have to get them in a good fit and good position to really win at a high level like a Cooper Kupp. Most of the time, they're just going to be this glue guy, this good role player, this going to put up maybe 700 to 800 yards, 600 to 800 yards, 7 touchdowns a year. Just a good kind of like third or second complementary piece to your offense that you kind of go to like a safety blanket for your quarterback. But like I said, the way that he's so technical with his routes, I can see him being a great wide receiver that everybody just slept on because he doesn't have this crazy athletic ability. He isn't really this jump ball specialist, not this burner, but because he's just so good at his technique and has just good at everything and elite at that one thing, which is route running, he could really turn into a star. I don't know if I'm willing to bet on it, but I would take him on the Panthers. The Panthers need somebody that's just a good route runner with good hands that can separate regardless of speed, any of that, just somebody that can get separation. But that's all, man. If you like the video, like and subscribe. Y'all went crazy on the Xavier Worthy video. Y'all went back, watched the A.D. Mitchell video. I like that. I love that. Next week, we doing Brian Thomas Jr. I already got the eval up. I'm going to be out of town, so if you're watching this video, turn on the post notifications after you subscribe and like the video and comment. Let me know what you think and be ready for that video to drop because I'm going to be out of town. I'm going to be out of the country. I don't know if I have connection. I'll just have to have it scheduled to drop before I leave. So like, subscribe, and be ready for that Brian Thomas Jr. video next week. Put your binoculars up. We out.